by Nadezhda Pokhtova. Read by Tatyana Orlova. After his first meeting with Alla's mother, Klim, struck by her charm, couldn't contain his admiration. "What a mother you have," he exclaimed. "Absolutely extraordinary. Kind, intelligent, so understanding." But Alla, irritated, gave a sharp shrug and cut him off abruptly. "That's just ordinary luck. She's always lecturing me, convinced I never do anything right. You simply don't know her well enough yet." Alla couldn't stand compliments paid to anyone but herself, and praise directed at her mother only stirred annoyance in her. Though Klim privately disagreed with her view, he chose not to argue. He was madly in love with Alla, who seemed to him either a figure stepped straight out of a painting or the living embodiment of a long-held dream of a beautiful princess. From the very first moment they met, Klim felt certain he'd found his destiny and resolved firmly to marry her. Even her capricious temperament didn't trouble him. "She's my princess, my beloved, after all," he told himself, swallowing his pride. "She has every right to be whimsical, and it's a joy for me to fulfill her every wish." Meeting Ida Lvovna, Alla's mother, left an indelible impression on Klim. The wise woman radiated such calm and warmth that his future mother-in-law felt like a gift from fate. He also recalled an old saying, "Before choosing a wife, look closely at her mother, daughters often grow to resemble them." A woman of such integrity couldn't possibly raise a bad child, Klim reasoned. Alla will settle down once she's married. Yet after the wedding, things only worsened. His young wife flew into rages and threw tantrums over the slightest, most trivial matters. Not a single day passed without her being irritated or offended by something. In the first months, Klim readily took the blame for every petty issue, rushing to apologize immediately. He reassured Alla of his boundless love and eagerness to spoil her, fulfilling even her most absurd demands. To spare her household chores, he hired a housekeeper, but now Alla took out her bad moods on her, too. One day, overhearing how his wife spoke to the housekeeper, Klim couldn't hold back. "How can you say such awful things? She's much older than you," he reproached her. "That's rude and unkind. And maybe it's her own fault. She shouldn't provoke me. Honestly, everything and everyone annoys you, as far as I can tell. Everyone's terrible except you. You're the only perfect one, white and fluffy. That's not how life works. Are you against me now? You don't love me." Alla burst into tears, then lunged at Klim, pounding his chest wildly with her fists. Gently, he wrapped his arms around the furious woman, holding her firmly but carefully until she went limp. Then he soothed her with tender kisses, repeating how much he loved her. At first, Klim viewed these recurring scenes with affection, later, with calm resignation. Eventually, irritation began to surface. Within a year, these emotional roller coasters started wearing down the once even-tempered, composed man. He tried in vain to reason with his wife, urging her toward peaceful coexistence, but to no avail. Wherever Alla went, she voiced discontent with everything around her. She argued with hotel staff on vacation, shouted at restaurant waiters, drawing everyone's attention, and quarreled with all their neighbors and acquaintances. Klim felt painfully ashamed of his wife in public. Being alone with her wasn't any easier, thanks to her endless complaints and accusations. Only in his mother-in-law did he find relief, and he turned to her more and more often when his patience ran out. "I can't go on like this," he confessed. "It's some kind of nightmare, not a woman. I used to love her so much I couldn't get enough of looking at her, but now I barely even see the beauty that once drove me mad. Her face is always twisted with spite, and there's such hatred radiating from her that it makes me uneasy. She's just as flighty and quarrelsome as her father, my late husband," Ida Lvovna sighed. "I tried so hard to raise her kind, well-mannered, and refined. But once she grew up and heard everyone, behind her back and to her face, raving about her beauty, she completely lost all restraint. She decided her looks would excuse everything. When she met you, Alla was briefly infatuated and calmed down for a while. But once she became sure you truly loved her, she stopped holding back and revealed her full, difficult nature. only my presence keeps her in check, and for that, she's grown to dislike me. But I only want what's best for her, and I worry about her future. Thank you for taking me on your trips. I know Alla resents it, she doesn't want me nearby to witness her outbursts. But it gives you some peace, and you deserve rest, too. It's hard for you with her. I see it, and I deeply sympathize. I hardly know how else I can help. It's time you had children, but I can barely imagine what your life would be like then. To be honest, neither can I, Klim replied. And it's not happening for us right now. God's will be done, Ida Lvovna concluded. He knows best whom to bless with a child, and when. I want a divorce, Klim announced one day, stopping by his mother-in-law's. Please don't take offense, Ida Lvovna, but I've reached my limit with these constant scenes. I never imagined life with Alla would be so unbearable. I respect and value you deeply, I don't want to hurt you, so I wanted to speak with you first. Alla doesn't know yet. She just threw another tantrum over nothing and is now furious with the whole world. After listening carefully, Ida Lvovna remarked that this behavior was entirely consistent with her daughter's character, nothing new at all. She thanked him for his trust and, to Klim's surprise, didn't try to dissuade him. She admitted she was amazed he'd endured such prolonged, unrelenting stress. In her view, 3 years was an unbearably long time to remain in a marriage devoid of peace, mutual understanding, or even basic respect. Ida Lvovna confessed that sometimes she herself wished she could divorce her daughter, just to catch her breath, but recognized the impossibility of such a step. Family ties, she said, are unbreakable, and despite her daughter's often irritating behavior, her love remained unwavering. She called it her cross, one she was destined to bear. Then she turned to Klim and asked why he should suffer. She emphasized his youth and attractiveness, noting that any woman would be happy to have his attention, and that he deserved a peaceful life, a happy family, and children. She assured him she held no grudge but expressed sorrow at losing such a son-in-law, respectful, attentive, kind, and generous. She remarked that he'd cared for her more than her own children ever had, calling him a good man and a fascinating conversationalist, someone she'd sorely miss. Klim, surprised, asked why she'd have no one to talk to. He explained he was leaving Alla, not her, and hoped they could maintain a warm relationship. He added that his own mother had never shown him the care Ida Lvovna had, and now that she lived far away, they barely spoke. He called Ida Lvovna a kindred spirit, almost like family, and said he took genuine pleasure in looking after her and being part of her life. It was no burden, but something well within his means. Finally, Klim offered to keep an eye on Alla too, asking if they were in agreement. Ida Lvovna, calling him my son, expressed delight at his offer. She advised him not to worry about Alla, acknowledging her difficult nature but noting she was sensible enough not to come to ruin. Perhaps, she suggested, Alla would realize her mistakes and behave differently in a new relationship. Or maybe she'd meet a man less gentle and yielding than Klim, someone who could rein in her arrogance and put the flighty little thing in her place. Ida Lvovna concluded that Alla practically invited such treatment, and one day, she'd surely face consequences. Klim sighed and admitted he'd doted on her soul, but now believed everything has its limits. He'd realized his boundless love had become a burden to her, especially since she felt nothing for him in return. In his view, nothing could be changed. When Alla learned of Klim's intention to divorce, she threw her usual tantrum, but this time, she cooled down quickly and unexpectedly agreed without resistance. It seemed the outcome brought her relief. Klim's generosity helped. He nobly transferred the apartment to her name and even left a comfortable sum in her account for the time being. In the end, no one felt wronged, and their relationship remained intact. Alla even became more tolerant, speaking to her ex-husband not in her usual bitter tone, but quite peacefully. Yet Klim no longer sought contact with her and soon withdrew entirely from her life, though, thanks to Ida Lvovna, he stayed informed of all that happened. From his former mother-in-law, he learned that Alla now enjoyed the attention of numerous admirers, but marriage remained out of reach. According to Alla herself, she had no desire to wed, she cherished her freedom too much. Meanwhile, Klim was healing, as if recovering from a long, severe illness. He explained to Ida Lvovna that unhappy love is like a sickness, scarring the soul more deeply than the worst fever weakens the body. Now, he felt free and savored his solitude. Only with Ida Lvovna could he openly discuss anything, gradually regaining his inner balance. He thanked her for letting him unburden his heart, and regularly visited, always bringing heavy bags of groceries, leaving money for her medicines, and sometimes inviting her to the theater. Ida Lvovna couldn't praise her almost son-in-law enough. Alla listened jealously to her mother's stories, arching her eyebrow in displeasure. If he's got extra money to spare, she'd snap petulantly, he'd better give it to me, I need it more. Her mother would rebuke her, you've squandered your own happiness. You're not helpless, you can take care of yourself. She urged Alla to stop chasing parties and instead focus on her education, so her efforts might advance her career. She expressed gratitude that someone cared for her now. Klim had willingly taken on that role. I've never seen such kindness from you, she said. A stranger has become closer to me than my own daughter. She called Alla a grasshopper stridulator, carefree and irresponsible. Alla would flare up, just leave me alone. Stop lecturing me. I'm young, I need more. You don't need much. She insisted Klim helped her mother only out of love for her, so her mother should thank her. Ida Lvovna cried out in dismay, oh, you little whistle. How can you even say such things? You're covering yourself while slandering a good man. You see no good in anyone, love no one but yourself. Alla shot back, well, at least I'm not in anyone's debt. And everyone loves me. Hello, Klim said. How lovely that you've come in, the florist girl replied in a melodic, gentle voice. Klim was struck. Her voice was exactly like the one from the old Soviet film Morozko. He remembered a sweet girl in it, whose name he'd forgotten, but her voice had been just like this, like Eva's. You must be mistaking me for someone else, he said. I've never been here before. No, I know you haven't, the girl blushed. I meant you've made the right choice. You won't be disappointed. For whom shall we arrange the flowers? For a very kind and wise woman. It's her birthday. Wonderful. Could you tell me a bit about her? Klim was surprised by her interest in the bouquet's recipient but answered her questions. After listening, she assembled not a grand, showy arrangement, but something seemingly simple, yet striking, airy, elegant, and full of grace. I like it, he blurted out involuntarily. I hope she will too, the florist smiled. And this is from me. She tucked a tiny card with a wish for happiness into the bouquet. Thank you. I'll say it's from a charming floral fairy. What's your name? Nastya, she whispered, blushing again. Of course, Nastenka. Klim exclaimed. How could I forget? Oh, never mind, don't pay attention. Goodbye, Nastenka. He'd already walked away from the shop but caught himself still smiling, so broadly that passers-by glanced at him in surprise. Klim had been so disillusioned by his failed marriage that he hadn't even considered new relationships and avoided looking at women altogether. Beautiful girls, in particular, repelled him, their sight instantly brought Alla to mind and ruined his mood. He had no intention of pursuing anything with the florist. Yet, despite his own resolve, he found himself pleasantly recalling her voice, the one that awakened childhood memories, and her smile. She has such a lovely smile, he thought. You can't help but smile back. How did you know I'd love these exact flowers? Ida Lvovna asked, admiring the bouquet. I've never liked roses, lilies, or those formal arrangements. I prefer these small, wild-looking blossoms and grasses, they feel like meadows, full of air and space. They're real, not stiff or heavy like garden flowers. You've truly pleased me. Thank you. Klim had nearly forgotten the incident when, passing a park, he noticed a cat on a leash, an uncommon sight, since only dog owners usually walked their pets. Well, Musya, time to go home, a familiar voice said. Hearing it, He slowed his step and looked closely at the cat's owner. What a coincidence, I've never seen you here before, nor a cat walked like this. Hello. Nastya beamed. My elderly neighbor asked me to walk Musia for her, and we got so carried away we wandered far from home. May I walk Musia for you? Klim asked, surprising even himself. I've never walked a dog, let alone a cat, and I happen to have some free time today. After seeing her home, he hurried off to attend to his own matters, urgent tasks he'd claimed didn't exist but clearly did. Only then did he realize he hadn't exchanged phone numbers with Nastya. He immediately reminded himself he'd sworn off getting involved with pretty girls. She's not even that beautiful, he argued inwardly, trying to justify his interest, though she was very sweet, especially when she smiled. And kind, too, she pities her neighbor. Alla wouldn't even help her own mother, and forbade me from doing anything for her. He didn't appreciate her at all. She still didn't know what cold, heartless mothers could be like, there was simply nothing for her to compare it to. To avoid spoiling his mood, Klim tried to push all thoughts of his ex-wife and his new acquaintance out of his mind. His unpleasant experiences with women still felt too fresh. Unconsciously, he projected his resentment toward his former wife, Alla, whose constant tantrums had worn him down, onto all women, fearing a repeat of that painful chapter. Once you've been burned by milk, you'll blow on water, he told himself as justification. Hello, Nastya. Klim called out cheerfully. Good evening, Nastya replied, turning around with a warm, friendly smile. I was just passing by and remembered Musia. Shall we go for another walk? She seemed to enjoy our last stroll, and so did I. Oh, Musia isn't here, she said. She went to the dacha with her owner. What a shame. Well, no matter, we'll have a fine time without her. Say yes. Well, all right, I agree. Perfect. I must say, you look so lovely today. I hardly recognized the same flower girl I met before. May I offer you my arm? Nastya rested her hand lightly on his crooked elbow. Klim was unusually talkative, even surprising himself, since he hadn't felt this light and carefree in conversation for a long time. He chatted endlessly about all sorts of things, only later catching himself and shifting to asking her questions. She answered shyly and briefly, but Klim managed to learn the most important thing: she was single. He, on the other hand, said little about himself and made no plans. He decided it best to make it clear from the start that their budding connection carried no obligations, just a light-hearted flirtation. He told himself this was simply a way to distract himself from memories of his ex-wife. Fight fire with fire, he mused. We'll see how it goes. Nastya, meanwhile, had no idea about his hidden motives. She saw their continued acquaintance as purely friendly and enjoyed his compliments about the bouquet she'd arranged. It felt like genuine recognition of her professional skill. In return, she passed along her regards to the woman for whom the floral arrangement had been intended. When Klim later suggested visiting Ida Lvovna, Nastya readily agreed, looking forward to a pleasant meeting. Klim, however, had doubts about how his spontaneous idea would be received, so he mentioned his new acquaintance cautiously. To his surprise, Ida Lvovna showed genuine interest and even offered to organize a meeting herself so she could form her own opinion. I'm glad you consult me, she said. It's my duty to help you find happiness, especially since I failed to guide Alla properly. It's partly my fault she grew up unable to love or care for anyone, and that she broke your heart without giving anything in return. Before picking Nastya up, Klim stopped by the supermarket, so she watched in surprise as he pulled countless shopping bags from his trunk and carried them into the elevator, refusing her help. She was happy, however, to assist Ida Lvovna in unpacking the groceries and putting everything away in the fridge and kitchen cabinets. Together, they set the table, creating a cozy, homely atmosphere. While Klim fixed a burnt-out light bulb and a suddenly broken floor lamp, he listened to the lively conversation coming from the kitchen. Though he couldn't make out the words, the cheerful laughter and warm tones clearly showed that hostess and guest had hit it off perfectly. They dined leisurely, enjoying each other's company, and later took a walk through the nearby park, listening as Ida Lvovna shared stories about her daily life, neighbors, friends, and local gossip. Notably absent from their talk were the health concerns Nastya had expected to hear. "Oh, everything's fine," Ida Lvovna brushed off Klim's questions about her well-being. "My health is excellent, especially with such wonderful guests. It'd be a sin to complain about mood or ailments. As they say, don't wake trouble while it sleeps. The less you talk about illnesses, the less likely they are to find their way to your door. And an active person? They won't catch up to you even on a walk. So, my dears, you're protecting me from all misfortunes. What a good girl," Ida Lvovna whispered as they said goodbye, seizing a quiet moment. "Kind-hearted, gentle, and so easy to talk to. I wish my daughter had turned out like you, but it just didn't happen, I suppose. I can't seem to find any understanding with her. And I feel no warmth from her, let alone love." "Oh, come now," Klim objected. "Of course Alla loves you, she just hasn't realized it yet or learned how to show it properly." "Thank you, my dear Klimushka," she said, tearing up. "You have such a kind soul. Who is she to you?" Nastya asked once they stepped outside the building. "You won't believe it, my former mother-in-law." "No way." She stopped in her tracks, staring at him as if seeing him for the first time. "Can that even happen?" "It can, and you're looking at it," Klim replied with a smile. "I married mostly because of her, I was so fond of her. But I never got along with her daughter. We divorced, yet I didn't want to lose Ida Lvovna. My heart's attached to her, she's become closer to me than my own mother. That's why we've kept our bond. And of course, Alla resents both of us for it, so she acts out even more." "Nastenka," Klim asked her over the phone a few days later, "how would you feel if Ida Lvovna came with us on vacation? Is that even allowed?" "Of course, it's already arranged. I've booked her a ticket." "Klim, you're wonderful. I've never met anyone as kind as you. So you agree?" "Absolutely. I really like her. Being near her feels calm and warm, and I'd love to do something nice for her." "Then it's settled, start packing." When Alla found out, she flew into a rage. "How could you, mother? Traitor. If anyone should go, it's me, not that upstart. Maybe I need a vacation too. For your information, it's Klim who decides. Why don't you go with your new man, what's his name again? I've lost count of your boyfriends." "Sorry. So that's how it is. You've traded your own daughter for strangers. But they're the ones who check in on me, visit, call just to chat or see how I am, and help with everything. And where are you all this time?" Where? "Living my life. It's still a mess, and you don't care at all. You could at least show some sympathy. I do feel for you, but there's nothing I can do." "It's beyond my power," Ida Lvovna finished, already speaking into a lifeless receiver that answered only with short, monotonous beeps. The day before their departure, Klim handed Nastya a bank card. "Would you be so kind, if it's not too much trouble, to help Ida Lvovna pick out some outfits and get ready? And don't forget yourself, all right?" The two soon-to-be travelers spent nearly the entire day shopping and visiting a beauty salon. "Just look at us, what beauties!" Ida Lvovna exclaimed, stopping in front of a store window after they finally stepped out of the salon. "You've always been lovely, that's no surprise. But what did they do to me? I've never seen myself like this, not even in my youth." Despite her inner joy and renewed energy, Nastya unmistakably sensed Ida Lvovna's deep fatigue, even though the older woman tried hard not to show it. That's why Nastya immediately decided to call a taxi to ensure her comfortable ride home. That evening, when Klim came by, he was delighted by their enthusiastic stories, but his suggestion to dine at a restaurant was unanimously rejected. The women, gesturing in unison, insisted there was nothing better than home-cooked food made with love. "It's amazing how well you've clicked," Klim said, genuinely surprised. You understand each other perfectly. You even look a bit alike, and think in harmony. After arriving at the hotel, the three travelers took separate rooms but spent most of their time together. Despite her age, Ida Lvovna kept pace with her younger companions, happily joining walks and excursions. She only cut short beach activities and often stayed in her room in the evenings, saying she needed rest and to recharge. During afternoon hours, Klim occasionally worked, pulling out his laptop to review documents. At those times, Nastya and Ida Lvovna would quietly chat, sharing secrets and impressions. It was obvious they genuinely enjoyed each other's company, a stark contrast to Klim's past experiences when Alla had been in Nastya's place. Does Ida Lvovna's presence bother you? Klim asked, interrupting their conversation. Not at all, Nastya replied without hesitation. And you don't mind that we can't be alone, that we always have to consider someone else's presence? No. Why would you even ask that? Because Alla, even when it was just her and her own mother in situations like this, would get furious. She didn't want anyone around. Everyone annoyed her, her mother, me, the whole world. I don't understand how anyone could be annoyed by Ida Lvovna, Nastya said, puzzled. She's so thoughtful, tactful, fascinating to talk to, and simply a wonderful person. She doesn't even hold it against me that I might have taken her daughter's place. On the contrary, she's incredibly kind to me. She supports me and offers gentle advice. I can talk to her about anything, and that means a lot, since my parents live far away, and I can't bother them over every little thing. Maybe it just seems that way now because you've only spent a short time together, Klim pressed, trying to make his point. But what if she were always around us? My own mother isn't very involved in my life. But Ida Lvovna has filled that role, and it means a great deal to me. How would you feel if I continued being part of her life, helping her financially and staying close, almost like family? Would that upset you? Could you still get along with her? Of course, Nastya assured him confidently. We've already become friends, and I'd be happy to keep it that way. I never doubted your answer, I've seen it all with my own eyes. I just wanted to make sure we talked through this complicated moment before doing this. May I, Nastenka? Klim gently took her hand and carefully slipped a delicate ring onto her finger. Will you marry me? Yes, with all my heart, she said, her eyes shining with happiness.